Okay, today we're going to be making pemmican or pemmican. Um, for those of you that know what it is and go, ooh, yeah. Okay, this is not your survivalist prepper pemmican. Okay, we're doing this for a weekend outing. We're not doing it as I'm hiking through 500 miles of forest and I need something for quick energy type pemmican. For those who do not know what pemmican is, dates back to the Native Americans and so on, and basically you would take meat, typically bison or whatever, very lean meat, slice it extremely thin, hang it up to air dry. Sometimes they'd rub sage and some other stuff on it to keep the insects off. That was about it. When it was totally, rock hard dry, 99 point whatever percent moisture gone from it, they would then pound this using a stone mortar and pestle type tool into a basic powder. Then they would mix this with animal fat or tallow. And it made blocks that they would then slice. That would get wrapped with either soft leather, whatever it happened to be that they used for their particular culture. And then this could be packed and carried. So when you were moving camps, when you were on hunting trips, when you were on war parties, whatever, and you needed something to eat, but you didn't want to build a fire, you didn't want to alert anyone that you're around, you didn't want to let the wildlife know, you didn't want to get somewhere and have to build a camp all night to start all over again the next morning, then you had your pemmican with you. There's other things that they had, of course, but jerky and so on as well. But pemmican, if done right, it lasts just about for friggin' ever. Okay? But if you do the traditional pemmican, it's typically just the meat fiber, fat tallow, and occasionally berries or nuts. And that's not very appetizing if I want a nice weekend out. Okay? One of its drawbacks is, of course, since it is made with tallow or fat, your nice, warm, sunny summer days while you're out has to be accounted for. Otherwise, you just got a pile of mush. So again, this is one that needs some form of cooling, shade, or whatever, where you keep it in an ice chest or something. Keep it dry so the ice doesn't, when the ice melts, it throws the water into it, that kind of thing. But otherwise, it's lightweight. It's really good to have. It's easy travel food. Pull off on a roadside somewhere on your bike, pop it out, have a drink, have a bite to eat. It boosts your energy. You pop back on and you can keep moving. That kind of thing. If you're hunting and you're up in a deer stand or something, and it's cold, or you need that boost of energy to bring your body back up. Again, you don't want to build a fire or anything, so again, a good use. Same as with fishing. If I'm out fly fishing or whatever, and I've got it in a little watertight bag in with my krill or whatever, my krill, the little wicker basket thing that fly fishermen use. It's stuffed with some grass and so on. They put their fish in it. You can have it stuffed in a pocket. You don't want to put it into pockets or whatever where the body heat could, of course, melt it. But, somewhere nice and cool. Maybe you have a little base camp. You do your stuff, come back to the car, and you don't want to be setting up a whole tent and a fire and everything. This is a good bite to eat to finish your day of fishing before you go home. That kind of thing. No preservatives, no additives, nothing like that. And of course, when you do it at home and you don't buy some of this pre-purchased stuff with the chemicals in it and preservatives, you're also saving all the packaging and everything else. So let's get started. Now, originally, as I said, they take the meat, slice it very thin, rub some sage or whatever on it to keep the bugs off, hang it over a tree limb, whatever happens to be present, and let it air and sun dry. The reason you do not want to cook it, you do not want to hot smoke it or anything like this to dry it is because it will then not properly absorb the tallow or the fats that help keep it preserved and hold it together. So we don't want to do that. What I will be using is my dehydrator. I'll set it on the lowest, just air blow, and let it do it. Again, I'm not out hunting a deer and then, in the wild I'm having to slice it and hang it on a tree and all this sort of stuff. I am at home. I'm prepping to go out on a fishing trip for the weekend or a gold prospecting trip. And I really just want something I can have with me that I can nibble on to keep me going for the day. And so what I do to bypass a lot of this is I go down to my local butcher shop and have them make me fresh ground meat. Nice lean pork or whatever. And then I do probably one of the most god-awful things you can do to a nice set of ground meat is I bring it home and I freeze it. Why would I do this, you ask? When you freeze something, especially meat, vegetables, and so on, have you ever noticed when you take them out of the bag, all the water comes out and you're going, oh God, it's all iced up? No. What's happening is when you freeze something, it breaks the cell lining of the individual cells in the meat, the vegetables, or whatever. And it releases all that moisture out, the fluids, liquids. So what you're seeing is basically ruptured, dead cell blood. Not a nice way to put it, but that's basically what it is. So by freezing the meat first and then bringing it out and letting it thaw, I'm breaking those cell walls. I'm having it naturally release even more fluids, and that reduces my my dehydration time because I'm not running it on a hot. I'm just running it on a regular air blow. So it's not one of these on and off. It's got a dial 1 to 5 and so on. So and by having it done as ground meat instead of slices, this actually helps it go even further. The next thing that I do before I put it in the dehydrator is I put it in my cheese press. Now what happens with the cheese press? I made my own, but for those of you who basically, it's 2 pieces of heavy duty aluminum, some wing butts on top. I put end cap nuts on the bottom, the self-stopping ones. They've got that plastic or whatever inside, so they don't come unscrewed easily. I set it there. Then I can put these in here, press it, and remove even more water out of it before it ever goes into the dehydrator. And to do that, this is my press stop. It's just a piece of heavy-duty gray water tubing for like sewer systems and stuff. It's not going near the food, so it doesn't matter whether it's food safe or not. I then would wrap the ground meat after draining it into here, hand squeeze it, then it gets packed into here. On top of that, I have little push discs that I cut out of. You can also buy this stuff. I got these, and it sits on top of that wrapped meat. This then sits on top of that, and then when I screw those wing nuts down, it presses everything down, pushing all the liquids out. And I can get rid of a good 50-60% of all the liquids that's in that meat before it ever goes into my dehydrator by freezing it first and then freeze it at least 24 hours. That way it's good and solid. Boom, that breaks it up, and then come in and You don't have to do this, but it's just a step that I use. Let's get that done, and I'll be back with you in a bit. So, I use two types. I get some that's just the regular ground beef, and then the next thing at my butcher's, I have them make me, it's a spiced ground. That this is normally what we would use for making sausages and so on. So it's got some spices in there to add a little flavor. Like I said, we're not making something that's, I need to survive a zombie apocalypse. I carefully fold this so I've got a flat top. I don't want any bulges in here that's going to press down in the center. That will go into here. I'll make sure all of that's nice and flat. My little press piece goes on top. It fits very, very firmly with just enough so it can move up and down. And then this piece on here. I can then now put this into place. I've got a thing underneath to take and catch the liquid runoff. I don't want to do it too fast, but at the same time I want a nice even press on it, so all the water comes out somewhat evenly. I've been using this thing for about 15 years to do my cheeses and different stuff like this. It's just, it's a food grade aluminum. If you can get it, I would do a thick stainless steel instead. I just couldn't afford it. These are galvanized steel rods, threaded rods that I cut. And now I want to get this to where it's even. And then all I have to do is evenly press this down. I mean, if you want to do make sure that it's an even, you could put yourself a level or something up here to make sure you're getting an even press. But, I like this for my cheeses instead of a manual, because this allows me to do a very slow drain when I'm doing my cheeses, so I can regulate the moisture in the wheels much better. And now you see we're starting to get liquid down here coming out. And I'll let this set. I'll come back about every 10 minutes and put some more pressure. If I wanted a more center, this is sort of bowing a little, I have steel weights I can put up here that will help even that out. Normally, to keep it from bending, I'll have one at one end and one at the other, so it's got an even press on these corners. And I'm going to set that up right now.